So, okay, friends, good evening to everybody. Namaste to all. Before commencing the session, my sincere pronouns to our beloved Guruji, Brahmaji Patriji, and our great pronouns to our beloved Grandmaster, Matar Babaji. Right. My dear friends, my dear masters, my dear gods, today we are going to discuss about the role of negative ions in our daily life. So, we have been discussing the last session, the role of negative ions. We have discussed thoroughly about intermittent fasting, right? How the fasting is going to help us. So, especially fasting and intermittent fasting, both. So, they'll help us a lot in order to make a lot of negative ions to circulate within our system, so that all the any kind of disease which will be removed, which will be eliminated. So that's how the fasting helps. So in fact, the more and more fasting, definitely it's going to cleanse all the positive ions. That means all the toxins are nothing but positive ions. So if you remove all the toxins, that means positive ions will be removed. Then you will have obviously the good amount of health with you, like that. So with the fasting, we can survive like without water. So first of all, without food, then without water. So without food and water also, people can survive. That's called dry fasting. So the dry fasting also, some people are able to stay for at least 7 days, like that. So nobody is going to die anyway. Remember this. Okay. So the reason is if somebody follows the dry fasting also, so even 7 days is guaranteed. If at all, just with the water fasting and without food also you can survive. Number of days, even 20 days, 30 days, like that. How it's possible? Because if someone can drink the urine, their own urine, it is much more sufficient. Nutrition will come. You don't need to. I mean, nobody will die. Nobody will die. Like the starvation or whatever. The reason is the urine itself is the best nutrition, right? It provides all the required minerals and everything. All the electrolyte, all the minerals will be provided to the body. That's how you are going to survive. So that's the reason. So this urine is going to be much helpful in the fasting time also. Remember this. Now, especially last time also we discussed. So when there are more amount of negative ions or electrons, then what happens is the oxygen whatever we intake, the oxygen will be better circulated and it will be better conveyed to the all the cells of the body because of the presence of more negative ions. That's what we need to remember. Okay. Now, negative ions and sunlight when we discuss. Okay. Now the today's topic is negative ions and sunlight. How it is, what it is going to be. Okay. So we know very much the sunlight which comes, right? It consists of UV rays, right? Infrared rays, and the visible spectrum. So if you consider the total spectrum of a sun rays, it consists of the first will be like in ultraviolet, and then especially if you see ultraviolet, and then comes to visible range. After the visible range comes to infrared, like that. The sequence is like that. So the ultraviolet rays, which definitely we can't receive. Even if we receive, also it's going to burn the skin. Okay, mostly the ultraviolet rays will not be penetrating through the into the ionosphere and even troposphere. So, but even then, the ozone layer is not in a good condition. So, wherein a lot of harmful rays also coming nowadays. Harmful rays also coming directly and hitting the earth. Hitting the earth means nothing but it is hitting the our physical body also. So, with that, what is happening is because of this harmful rays are hitting us, we are getting a lot of diseases, skin diseases, basically. Because so that kind of rays and with the frequency, with a high, exposure to that harmful rays or high frequency rays, definitely our skin is going to be damaged. That's how the skin cancers also will come if somebody exposed to the more amount of UV rays. Okay, remember this. Now, after that, what happened? Then there comes to be visible range, that is VIBGYA. So where the light frequency is visible, so all consisting of all seven colors. Okay, so that's not going to be harmful, of course. Okay, so which we are using in a day-to-day life. After that, what happened? The below portion, red light, and below that portion is called the infrared, actually, red and infrared. These, once it crosses the red, then whatever the next going to be infrared. So that is not visible again. Ultraviolets are not visible, and this side especially infrared is not visible. Okay, infrared is also, of course, the lower than the red, but still it is invisible. Okay, in between that, the visible spectrum only, so we are able to see with the eyes. But when it comes to the red and infrared, that is good for the health again. That's good for the health. If it penetrate through your, it is proven, scientifically proven. Ultraviolet rays are harmful, but infrared, red, after that infrared, near infrared, the far infrared, there are a lot of wavelength ranges basically. These are very much helpful for curing many diseases in the body. So especially there is something called red light therapy developed because of this only. That is red light and near infrared. Okay. Red light, after that near infrared. For example, red light starts at, let's say, 600 nanometer to 700 nanometer, for example. And more than 700 nanometer, whatever it comes to up to 1400 nanometer, all refers to the infrared. Okay. Near infrared also you can say. So anything up to 1200 nanometer, nothing but a near infrared, and which is very useful for the physical body. How it is? So there is something called red light therapy developed. In that they researched a lot with this infrared, the red and near infrared. With the red and infrared, what they researched is when this light pierces through our physical body, what all it does is it is going to basically it is going to activate certain enzymes. Because of that activation of that enzymes, what happens is whatever the oxygen which goes inside to the blood and whatever the glucose generated, these two combination of oxygen and glucose is equal to energy. So that energy has to be produced in each and every cell. Okay, to make sure that energy is produced in each and every cell, the ATP, that is adenosine that is called energy, the powerhouse of a cell. So that will be keep working. That will start working when this light falls onto the our skin or whatever into the physical body. So when we expose to this red and near infrared, what it is going to do is it is going to stimulate certain enzymes. Make sure that the ATP produces the enough amount of energy for that particular cell. That's called powerhouse of a cell. So in that context, what happened? Then cell starts working properly. Until then, cell didn't work. But when this properly this red and near infrared, when you expose to the or when you focus onto the different parts of the body, any part of the body it can be. Okay, so if my the leg, the hand is not working, leg is not working, or my shoulders are not working, or I have a lot of headache, or I have a lot of chest pain, whichever it may be, wherever it may be, whatever the problem it may be, if we expose to that, this is going to happen. Okay, so because of this particular this particular effect, the ATP is going to be producing proper amount of energy. That is a powerhouse of the cell. The cell becomes normal. That means cell becomes healthy. Till then, what happened? Cell was not having enough energy. It was having either less energy or zero energy. So when the energy becomes zero for any cell, that means ATP is not working, then that cell is called dead cell. Understand? So those becomes a cancerous cells in the physical body. Understand? So that's how we get a cancer to the physical body. So friends, here we need to understand the light of a different spectrum is helping, something is non-helping, something is helping. This is what we need to understand. Now, that is why what is the kind of sunlight which supply the more negative electrons or more negative ions? This is what we need to remember very carefully. So, what kind of light? I told you just now, it must be red light or near infrared. Near infrared. When this comes in the red sun. When is the red sun? Red sun comes in the early morning or in the sunset or sunrise. Understand? So exposed to the kind of a sun where that is a red sun. Okay, red sun happens only in the sunrise, sunset. These two timings. Then only you will get electrons from the sun. Remember this point. Okay, that is why I try to explain the so-called red light therapy in this context. That is nothing but red light therapy. Natural red light therapy. You don't need any instrument. You don't need to you don't need to use any red light therapy generator. Nothing required. Is a natural red light therapy available in the so-called on the earth or in the universe because of our sun. Okay, because of the sun. So when we go and expose early morning, that means the red sun which is rising up, and the sunset which is happening, that is also red sun. These two timings, if you expose your body to the this sun, you will get ample amount of negative electrons into your body, the ample amount of negative ions into the body. That is the best source of negative ions. Please write it down. Very, very important. Suppose if I go and expose to the midday sun or rising sun, then what happens? It's opposite. You get lot of positive ions into your body. It is in fact, it is going to give you some disease to the body. I told you, whenever there's a like burning sun, weak sun, and you go and expose to that, and thinking that I get a D vitamin, I get some electrons. No, it's not good. It is going to be ulta. That means the reverse process will happen. What is the reverse process? It is going to increase the positive electrons. It's going to increase the positive electrons. So when the positive ions, not positive electrons, sorry, positive ions is going to be increased in your body. It means it is going to remove some of the electrons from your body. If you go and stand in the hot sun, thinking that I get some, negative electrons, or thinking that I may get some D3 vitamin, no, it's all wrong concept. Don't do that. Don't ever expose to the hot sun, burning sun. Okay, that is going to create a reverse effect in your body. So be careful there. Be careful for that. So this how, friends, you need to understand. If at all you are going to receive more amount of the sunlight in the midday or whatever, you have to take proper care and go into that umbrella, all the whatever care you want to take the care and go inside, no problem. Otherwise, don't take any risk. So this is what we need to understand. Now, remember, whenever you expose to the so-called sun in the morning or in the evening, generally we call it as like when we see the morning sun like this, with the naked eyes you can see, with the naked eyes. Okay, in the sunset also you can see the naked eyes. Then that is called sun gazing. Okay, it's a sun gazing. So when you do sun gazing, what happen? Right? So our brain waves changes rapidly from high beta to the low beta, then alpha, then theta, then delta. Understand? So this how it is going to work. Right? You can definitely check this. You go into the sun, sit in the sunrise or sunset. You sit properly, comfortably, then start observing the sun. Start gazing with the naked eyes. Okay, there's nothing harm going to happen to you, but definitely when you start observing the sun, then your breath will slow down. The breath will slow down. When the breath slow down, what happen? Your brain enters into the so-called, generally when the working condition, alert condition, awaking condition, we operate our brain in the so-called beta or high beta range of waves. Understand? Beta or high beta wavelength of the, so that is the wavelength of the so-called energy waves or brain waves. produced by our brain. We need to remember this. Then when we start observing the sun, then the breath will slow down. The moment breath slow down, we enter from high beta to the so-called alpha. First of all, low beta, high beta to low beta, then low beta to alpha. Okay, I mean the brain waves starts reducing its velocity and speed, then it gets slow down, slow down, slow down. Then ultimately it enters from alpha. Alpha means almost like a, like the stable state or sustaining state. There are not much variations in that. Then after the alpha, so like near so called the nearest to the sleep condition actually it is. So after the alpha, then you enter into theta, gamma, finally delta. Delta is like a completely, absolutely empty state. There's nothing, there's no question of any oscillation. It's a zero condition. It's a zero condition. So that's what the state we reach, isn't it? So how we are reaching to that state? Just by observing the sun. You just keep on observing the sun, then you can enter into these kind of things. Okay. So when you enter into this particular thing, what happens is, friends, so then what will happen? The persons who do this in the night time, they can sleep better. If you observe the sun in the sunset or sunrise, if somebody does this, then they get nights, they get a very nice sleep in the night time. If you want, you can do this and try, and definitely you are going to get this experience. Anybody do the sun gazing, morning sunrise or sunset, if you do it, and then you test yourself on the same day night, you can sleep very, 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 very easily. Sleep very well. Okay, so nice sleep will come. This is how we need to understand. So how this entire the sunlight with respect to negative ions, with respect to electrons, this is how we need to understand, and then we need to take proper care. Okay, proper care. Then it is going to be much useful. Now coming to the negative ions and grounding. Okay, let's understand this little bit. So this is one more concept we'll try to explain today or today's session. So what is the so if you talk about earthing, I think you might have heard about earthing, grounding, all that, isn't it? So this earthing and grounding is very, very important, friends. So what will happen is, so there's a skin connection with the earth supplying nutrients, okay? Especially negative ions is very, very important. So if your skin is touching the either directly on the earth or on the grass, okay? Your skin, that means your soul, your foot soul, if you are touching. Otherwise, if you touch with the body also, if you just lie down, whatever it may be. So when your skin touches the so-called the direct earth or the grass, then you start getting electrons into your body. Understand? So this how it is very, very helpful. So remember this point. So this is going to be much helpful. The moment you touch the ground, just you can test yourself. Okay. But the moment you touch with the, let's say barefoot, with the barefoot you touched, or you sat on the directly on the ground, then first thing happens is your breath will slow down. Understand? Your breath will slow down. See, always one thing, whenever you are with the nature, either the earth or the sun or the mountains or the waterfalls, wherever you go, whatever you do with the nature, your breath will slow down. Breath will not run such a the fast pace. What is the breath rate actually? The breath which has to run is about, like we know very much. So at least in a minute, at least 15 times, right? So it will keep running. So it will keep running like, we'll keep on taking 15, 16 breaths, isn't it? So when we take 15 to 16 breaths per hour, 18 also sometimes. It goes up to 18 also. 18 breaths per minute we take. In a day, 21,600 breaths we take. So this is normally happening. That means alert condition, person who is alert and awake, he does this kind of breathing. But whenever you stand still, whenever you make your mind, like slow down. Basically, you are changing the brain waves, isn't it? See, for us, in order to measure the heart diagrams, like heart waves, basically heart electromagnetic waves, we use electrocardiogram. The same way, our brain waves you want to measure, so electroencephalograph, we use that other machine. So when we measure with that, we clearly understand that the moment we come close in contact of the nature, our breath will slow down, the brain waves will change from beta to the so-called alpha, high beta to low beta to alpha, alpha to theta, theta to gamma, gamma to delta. So this is how this the whole the flow is there. You always need to understand this. It happens to everybody, it happens. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to tell here. This is the power of the earth. Okay. So when we come for close contact with this is how it is going to happen. Now, how the earth is going to get the negative ions? From where it comes? Tell me. So two sources for that. One is the earth can get more amount of negative ions because of the presence of the stones inside the earth. Okay, that is one source. Remember this. The stones which are inside the earth is going to cause lot of negative ions. Number one source. Number two source is like whenever there is a lightning strike happens onto the earth, isn't it? The lightning strike happens onto the earth, it is going to pump a lot of negative ions onto the earth. With these two things, what happens is, with these two things, you always have much amount of negative ions or electrons on the directly. If you are able to touch the earth directly with a bare foot or bare skin, you'll be able to easily get this. Okay, this you need to understand. Now, see, the other thing is the especially there is something need to be understood is potential gradient, my dear friends. Potential gradient. So what is the grounding means? Grounding or whatever, potential gradient. The potential gradient means wherever there are more number of electrons, wherever the number of electrons are less, the electrons flows from higher amount of electrons, wherever there is a density, from that it flows to the lower amount of electrons, right? That's how the flow happens. So this is called potential gradient. Yeah, so when we touch with the contact of the earth, it has got highest amount of electrons or negative ions, which will flow into our body because we have less amount of negative ions or electrons which will flow into our body. Obviously, it will happen. So this is how the potential gradient will work, and so this how in the cosmos everywhere the same thing happens. For example, there is a abundant water flow, like in high pressure water. Then it comes to the low pressure side. If there is a temperature, the high temperature, then it flows to the lower temperature side. So everywhere this potential gradient is going to work. That's very important, my dear friends. So this how. So what happens here is, so there is an amazing benefits because of the so-called the negative ions in our physical body. We know very well. We have already gone through all these things. So especially the blood, okay, where the more number of negative electrons enter in our body. Where are these negative ions of presence? Basically, they present in the blood. Okay. So when they present in the blood, what happen? Blood becomes thinner, and blood flow will happen positive. Blood flow will happen properly, and you'll have increased electrical current in the body. Understand? So when there are more number of electrons, we are receiving from the earth, the grounding. So that's called grounding. Okay. So with that, what happen is the obviously the more amount of electrical energy is supplied. Okay, supplied, and that is especially for the brain, and brain will become sharp, and all these things happen. So that's how what happens is because of the negative ions, more amount of negative ions, it is going to restore your blood pH also. Blood pH also. What is the blood pH must be? It must be not less than 7 and 7.5. It must not be less than 7, basically. If it is 7 and above, it is called the alkaline blood. So that is going to be ensured because of this particular negative ions. Understand? So that is why it's very important is the grounding and earthing is a very good practice. Every day you must practice this for 40 minutes daily to get the more benefits. Understand? So at least 40 minutes. If not, at least what happened, morning 20 minutes, evening 20 minutes. That's also okay. Directly you get in contact with the earth. Remove your chappals, do the barefoot walking, and especially whenever there is a rain also. Whenever there is a rain, right? The rain comes. At that time, if you go and walk on the earth, you receive more amount of negative ions. That is going to be much replacing, and even it will be much refreshing. Like you go into the just after the rain, you just go into the outside, just walk for some time. How you feel, you feel like so refreshing. That's how it is. Understand? So that is why take this opportunity, and you can easily get through the good amount of the a good amount of health. And also, so especially the night time, people who walk on the earth barefoot, they get very good sleep in the night time also. Is also very important. Okay, and so all our ancestors, they try to walk on the barefoot, isn't it? We have noticed, isn't it? We have noticed all our ancestors, they used to walk on the barefoot only because to gain this more and more number of negative ions. It's very simple. So that's how nowadays we have lost it, and we have to again get it back. Okay. Now, what is the the opportunity for the people who are staying in the upper floors? What do they do? See, many people what happen in the cities, they suffer with a lack of negative ions, and they frequently go to the doctors for all the different kind of diseases. One reason we find is this negative lack of negative ions, lack of electrons, and lack of because of lack of electrons, the lack of current flow in the system. Every organ will operate with certain voltage and current. Remember this point also, very important. For that matter, it needs certain voltage. It needs when voltage is there, of course, it will provide the current. Without voltage, how do you get the current? You can't get it, isn't it? So that's how what we need to understand is so in the olden days, they used to take all this care. Nowadays, what happened? So we have no such a facility. Come to the cities. People are staying in the so high rise apartment like 10 floor, 15 floor, 20 floors. One funny thing is in cities, somebody is going living in the 20th, 25th floor. They feel like so great, and they buy with a higher price. In fact, it is ulta. It is totally they are going to have very damaging in the health. The way they are buying in the upper floors, they are buying what they are buying is they are buying diseases. By spending more money, they are buying diseases. They are prone to many illnesses because they have no question of getting any kind of a electrons into the body. They don't see generally what happen if they are in a staying in the upper floor, 14 or 15th floor, they never come down first of all. Even if they come down, all in the apartment everywhere there is a concreting done already. There is no grass properly. There is no proper so-called because they will have basements also, no. Because of the basements, what happened? They try to provide artificial manure, artificial soil, artificial grass, all this. Grass also will be there. Artificially, they provide some kind of a soil. It's not a pure soil. Understand? So you can't walk on the earth directly. For that, what happened? You need to go, come down for 15th or 16th floor, come down, then take a walk to the outside of the gate, go to the normal earth, if it is available, if you are lucky enough. Otherwise, many of the places in cities, no question. Everywhere you go, always you find either ceramic tiles or the concreting, not only this much. You won't get any direct earth contact, you won't get. This is how we are losing health, friends. Then what is the solution for these people who are staying in upper floors? Of course, they have to come down and they have to try. Otherwise, just take a break every weekend. Go to the countryside. Go to the countryside. Walk in the fields, or take a break and go to the some hill or forest, right? Or near to the waterfalls or beach or mountain, whatever it may be. Go to the nature. Go to the nature. That is only the way for all the city dwellers. That's only the way. There is no other way at all. Okay. So there is a second way which I'll explain you. So it's called zero voltage grounding. There are mats, grounding mats. So what are the grounding mats? Of course, the ground mat will come with the grounding. That means basically you have to plug into the power. If you plug into the power, what happen? That mat will get grounded through the electrical supply in the lowest basement floor. It will get ground. So that mat, if you are sitting on the mat, those mats are available. You can buy through Amazon or whatever it is. Okay, the grounding mats. So if you sit on that at least for a day, every inmate of the house, use it for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sit on that. You get sufficient amount of electrons into your body. This is another alternative. Otherwise, there's no question of there's no other alternative at all. So this is what we need to understand. Okay, these grounding bags are there, grounding badges are there, the wristbands are there. All this you can use. All this you can use and get grounded yourself and get some kind of electrons. This is one of the possibility what we have, my dear friends. Okay, otherwise there is no other way for you. So like this, so receive the benefits through this one and the all this this grounding kits. Grounding kits you definitely you can buy. There's no doubt about it. So you can try, and otherwise you have to make yourself some of the many methods are there. Find some methods, then make yourself some ground kits, prepare yourself, and then use it. So that's how we need to do it. So what we need to always do is these negative ions help us to sleep better. Okay. Second is it will restore your body's pH, the blood pH value to the proper level. To the proper level means to the proper alkaline optimal level. Alkaline optimal level. So that is the only the best way how we can get a proper health in our body, physical body. So this is what the grounding mechanism. Remember this. I think hopefully we have covered the grounding mechanism required to the even sweaty dwellers also, right? So this is all about negative ions and grounding, how we have to take care of it, right? So with this, we'll be ending today's session, my dear friends. Then in the future sessions, we have much more sources for negative ions, especially the crystals and negative ions, how they are going to be related. That we will discuss in depth, like how we have discussed today. Okay. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.